Hello, Gino here, and you are listening to Otherworld Connections. We live in a critical time where now, more than ever, angels and fairies, hidden forces, are bursting at the seams of the veil to work with us. They want to see us change in order to save the world and live in service to others. So join me on a journey to empowerment and enlightenment with an angelic angle and a fairy focus, looking into ways to improve our current situation, morality, archetypes, solutions for self-healing, and spiritual sciences in light of theosophy and other occult traditions.
Hello, welcome back to Otherworld Connections. Today's show we are talking about narcissism. Narcissists, in particular, dealing with narcissism, narcissistic behavior. We're going to get to the bottom of a few things. Now, narcissism. I've heard narcissism being called the most overused word in 2023. I've heard it being called the most overused word in 2024. Well, I will say that I think it's the most underacted upon behavior or mental constitution. Statistics say that 1 in 6 people are narcissistic. And where do you draw the line between narcissist and psychopath? And having said all that, the care industries and industries that require engaging with a lot of people have narcissism overrepresented. So, in my field of work, it's overrepresented. In the truth movement, miso soli, it's very overrepresented. I'm not going to be pointing fingers at anybody, but I'm going to be pointing fingers at behaviors. And Otherworld Connections actually is a little bit about, well, narcissists can change. People say that they absolutely cannot. Narcissists say that they cannot. And then, ironically, they kind of change because they're the ones that write these books about narcissism, and we will be looking at one. But for the minute, I just want to remind you that you can find the link to anything I'll read or refer to during the show in the description of this episode, once it's published on my website, thesecretkindergarten.com, and all the channels like YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble. There's my otherworldconnections.substack.com, where there's a little bit of writing. There's not, what do they call it, copy these days? There's a little bit of copy. Just a blurb, an extended blurb. So for now, let's figure out what we should do. And this is, I guess, regarding narcissism. What is better to do? How to heal, how to change, how to achieve goals and live successful lives of service by making those otherworld connections. And in a lot of ways, otherworld connections is for the people that have had to just deal with narcissism their whole lives and are trying to bounce back and get onto their life, create their freedom, create freedom in the world, be of service to others while achieving goals, and overcoming this bully victim paradigm. This is for the people that I guess have been victimized, but they're not going to play victim. So for the minute, 7 minutes past, already doing too much blah blah blah, we're gonna go to this book, Danger: 50 Things You Should Not Do with a Narcissist, written by H.G. Tudor in 2015, and he is allegedly a psychopath. He is a self-proclaimed narcissist wanting to warn you of the enemy. So we're just going to go over a couple of things, and this is going to be in line. So what I'm trying to do here is line up things that protect you or stop you from being bothered or affected by narcissism in line with what we're doing here on Otherworld Connections. So we won't go over every single thing because I think some of the things are tricky, because at the end of the day, 1 in 6, right? 1 in 6. So you're at a dinner party and someone's just being an absolute and he or she is just really getting under your grill and being manipulative and being passive aggressive, yada yada yada, what do? Well, you should all give them a smack in the face and say, what the hell is your problem? Like, seriously, you should kick them out. You should kick them out. You get what I'm saying? It's, and a lot of the video, or a lot of the literature and the YouTube videos and stuff either have unreasonable solutions or solutions that are about kind of keeping a status quo. There are some good solutions that we will come to talk about, but for now, here is what H.G. Tudor, the narcissistic psychopath, has to say that you should not do. There are 50 things. I've just chosen a couple here. Number 6, do not share your weaknesses. Now, this is an Otherworld Connections thing, and I do share my weaknesses here on the show because I am being candid, and I'm trying to make this about really the information, and I'm trying to bring people together, like-minded people that want to grow spiritually. And it's not about that I need friendship, but it's about, well, maybe I do, but it's about, or I need followers. It's definitely not followers. It's coexisting on this path. I think people skip this. I think people learn things about the truth, have issues with either their victimhood or their bullying, and they just maintain that. And this is why I think it's overrepresented in the truth movement. Bullying works to your advantage. Being a narcissist works to your advantage in the society that we live in, and that includes being a content creator, that includes being whatever, like being a voice for truth, being a self-proclaimed authority on topics of things and putting it out there in media. Being a narcissist is extremely helpful. A lot of the people you're listening to that aren't creating content, there's a very high chance what's going to be overrepresented there is the victimhood, the echoists, the echoes of narcissism, the people that have been victimized by narcissism in their life. Most people are either going to be the bully or the victim, and there are going to be very few people trying to get themselves out of that. And that's where the Otherworld connections come in. This is where what I say is the fairies and the angels. And it's not just what I say. I just say it because it's, I don't know. I think when you're trying to change and you're trying to just be real, you can hear words like that and not be put off, because it's kind of the opposite of trying to gain some kind of status. Maybe I'm being too humble, but we'll talk about that. In a sense, I am really an echoist. I don't subscribe to that now. That's why part of why I do Otherworld Connections is I'm getting my mind out of that. And eventually Otherworld Connections is going to change to bigger and better, and I won't be talking like this, but for now this is kind of part of the journey, and I'm going to slowly obviously phase that out because it clashes with my mind control work that I do on myself, and my EFT, my tapping and all that sort of thing. So sorry, this is going to be definitely a few episodes, this narcissist special. Do not share your weaknesses, H.G. Tudor says. From the very outset, we will be mining. Okay, he's talking about we, the narcissistic people. From the very outset, we will be mining you for information. Yes, we will have undertaken a considerable amount of research before we met you, either from those around you or from your large footprint on social media. That only provides us with enough to put a foot in the door to begin our seduction of you. We need more information, and the way to do this is to spend as much time as we possibly can with you through our love bombing of you. The gold dust of this information, however, is getting to know what your weaknesses are. Now, I'm going to say that this guy, I mean, you have to kind of, you have to be emotionally detached from the people that are narcissistic and psychopathic that are giving you this information, because they can't help but play their games on you through helping you. And what I'm saying is here is that people do, like the victim people do at least go through a phase, or they do like, it's like victim dopamine, cheap victimhood dopamine, that, oh my God, the narcissist, oh no, it's so, we're so powerless, but, I'm reading this because I hope to be empowered because of all these things that happened to me. And these people know that that's the dynamic. Okay, so continuing on, our ability to sniff out damaged people serves us particularly well in this regard. The very fact, oh man, I got so much to say on this, guys. Victim face over here. Hey, our ability to sniff out damaged people serves us particularly well in this regard. Okay, so this is where the overrepresentation in care industries of narcissistic people. Oh man, I'd love to just do a show of like name shaming, like all the I would love to, but I'm not going to, because that's not what it's about. It's about the behavior. Care industries, narcissistic and narcissistic psychopaths and Machiavellian people are overrepresented big time. Okay, so think of all the damaged people in the truth movement. I mean, our damage, and I'm not excluded from that. My damage is pretty much what led me here, right? Because you go in the quest for repair. You go out looking for, you feel like something's not right. And that something not right feeling flows out like a mandala. And in that mandala is the truth of why things aren't right. And also the things that aren't right globally, the things that aren't right spiritually, collectively, universally. So just, if you're not going to listen any further, just be careful, especially be careful in the truth movement, alternative media. I'm sure a lot of you know that anyway. All right. The very fact that you have suffered some form of emotional damage means that you have plenty of weaknesses and vulnerabilities to divulge. We are experts at mimicry. We know how to sound concerned about somebody, even though we have no concept of how to be concerned. Okay, so people that need to be concerned about people, like managers and stuff like that, high pressure environments, they need people that aren't actually concerned, but know how to pretend to be concerned. So all this middle management, in corporations and companies, those are set up, those roles are set up, sorry to say, for narcissists and psychopaths. The people that do those jobs that aren't narcissists or psychopaths, well, bless you, and have a think about where your services could be better used, because then the narcissistic and psychopathic system is just sucking all your love from you, all your why did I say that? All your care, right? Oh my God. More coffee, Gino. Let me press pause and have more coffee. Right, we cultivate trust through our application of our learned behaviors and our use of evocative language. Bear in mind as well that since we have wounded many people already, we are fully familiar in the ways by which people are hurt. It is not the case that police turn to criminals to help them solve a particular crime. Or is it not the case? The perpetrator is best equipped to speak of the damage that they cause. Well, there's another thing, police, right? Since we dole out harm left, right, and center, we are best placed to create a faux empathy in saying to you that we understand what it must be like for you to have suffered in this way. We do not know how it feels at all. Think about what the police say. I understand what you're saying. I understand how you feel. Having said that, we have to enact the da-da-da-da-dee. There's no empathy there, right? Okay. We do not know how it feels at all. We do know how it is executed through, though, and this knowledge enables us to ask exactly the right questions and pretend we understand just how you feel in order for you to open up further to us. Okay. This sham facade of caring about you again draws you to us. We appear caring and thoughtful. We may even pretend that we have been treated in a similar fashion in order to create a bonding between us, forged from an apparent mutual mistreatment. Okay, that's something I'm very familiar with. Such is our chameleon-like character that we are easily able to project an image of being hurt. After all, we do like to play the victim card too. We appear sensitive, insightful, and understanding. It feels so good to be able to speak to somebody who understands. We talk of our connection and bonds, trotting out the old favorites of, we're soulmates. We understand one another. Nobody has been able to do that before. Okay, so it goes on to say it's to gain trust. And now the narcissist knows your weaknesses. Nothing has been spared. The totality of this confession will now come back to haunt you. I will exhibit astonishing powers of recall as I use this information against you. I know you dread the dark, so I will remove the light bulb and replace it with a dud one. So it's just a control and playing passive-aggressive games and that sort of thing. We are the masters of denigrating people, and you have just handed to us a fully stocked armory which we can unleash against you. Yeah, so, okay. You ought to keep your own counsel about those matters which reveal your weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Do not release them within a moment of engaging with someone new. Chances are he or she is one of our kind and is ready to use it all against you. So, for me, I do share my weaknesses and vulnerabilities here on the show. It's not going to be forever, and I don't always share all of them, but what I'm trying to say is if people are researching me, then okay, sometimes I do get taken advantage of and burnt based on this. Overall, I am aware of this now since starting Otherworld Connections. So yeah, I don't share. But here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to say. We've covered this in Otherworld Connections. It's got nothing to do with narcissism. It's got everything to do with you and attracting what you want, you and attracting more good things in your life. And it's about you promoting yourself and loving yourself and achieving your goals and all those sorts of things. And so not complaining, not sharing your weaknesses, not giving voice to these issues is beneficial for you in your life, forgetting about the narcissist thing. So here's the tricky thing about this stuff is that dealing with, looking at these solutions, we're going to find ones that are double whammies, hopefully, okay? Ones that are more about you growing and becoming better and stronger and more powerful as someone who wants to do right in the world, someone who knows what's going on and wants to make a change, and so on and so forth. Giving yourself more power and not giving away too much of your power. So that's a classic one. So you might find that this is a sad thing that your relationships and your family and with your friends are narcissistic relationships. You might be bonding and sharing all your problems and stuff with people, but they're just completely having you on. They're just playing the game to to keep you close, to basically use you to look good and feel good. I mean, it's almost to a point that we're conditioned to think that's what friendship is, and that's what love is, and that's what family is. Look at all the TV shows and stuff, and here's the thing that I criticize the truth movement about. It's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, at least I'm being honest, but what I'm trying to say is, when you... Obviously, you want to listen for information, right? But beyond that, you want to think, what does this person really want from doing this? What does this person want to achieve? What's this person's vision? What are they seeing? And through the Secret Kindergarten and Otherworld Connections, the importance of visualization, can we visualize a free world? What does that look like? Is that what we really want? Are we acting in a way that that's what we really want? And I mean, that's the whole point of the secret kindergarten, with all this conscious parenting, carry on, unschooling, all this stuff. It's not about parenting, but it's about seeing children as what they really are, and what they're connected to, and the spiritual aspect of things, and also what that means when you see a child. And I know it's the cliche, like the children are the future, but they really are. And saying that is kind of just paying lip service, but it's not actually getting anything done. And the whole point is, are we bringing up children that are just going to be, saying blah, blah, blah on the internet, with even probably more restrictions on algorithm and all that sort of stuff, speaking about truth and that, but, with even more censorship, in a just even more control paradigm than we are now? Or, what I'm trying to say is, like, from the 3-year-olds of today, when they grow up, like, in this present moment, we can make what their adulthood is going to be as freedom. We can. Like, we literally can. But it's not cool. It's not... it doesn't translate well in social media. It doesn't have clout. It's just reality. It's hard work. It's suffering. It's stuff people don't want to hear. So, keeping your weaknesses and vulnerabilities to yourself, not sharing them with others. More than that, to make it Otherworld Connections, it's like trying not to complain. Don't give voice to the complaint. Now, we're told to let your feelings out. Well, yeah, that's not sharing your vulnerabilities and weaknesses, or complaining about things, or talking about problems that you have. That's not letting your feelings out. Letting your feelings out, well, that's something that you need to do. So we're going to look at H.G. Tudor, the Narcissistic Psychopath's book, Danger, 50 Things You Should Not Do with a Narcissist. Number 12, do not neglect your needs. And one of the things you need to do is to deal with those feelings. Well, let's just say, so I don't forget, is that, physical exercise, writing, art, all those sorts of things, okay? All those pursuits that we looked at with, it's the 7 dwarves, right? We talked about that in our fairy tale study. Okay, so just, the things of being a human being, pursuits, those are ways to get some of this stuff out. And I will say, I've done psychotherapy for, I don't do it anymore, but I did it for many years, many years, because I was interested in psychology and I wanted to improve myself. And it kind of got to a point where it was just like, well, at the end of the day, I'm just creating more want to change. So it would just be go in with a bag full of complaints and try and process them. And what would I do next week? Go in with a bag full of complaints and try and process them. The universe was just giving me more complaints to process, because that's what I wanted to do. So in a way, I'm an expert. I'm like literally an expert in the stuff that I'm talking about now. And I don't mean narcissist. I mean that space of trying to deal with it, okay? So in the Otherworld Connections, we're processing the thing. So if you want the answers, this really is the place. And they're not my answers, they're just the answers. So do not neglect your needs. One of the effects of the narcissist's behavior is that we cause you to look at everything through our eyes. We want this to happen so that you adopt a way of living that is closest to what we need to provide us with our precious fuel. We want you to anticipate what we want. We want you considering the best way of accommodating us. To achieve this, we deploy our various methods of manipulation to make you put us at the forefront of your mind. Each day you will be thinking how best you can please us. You will be considering what must be done to avoid enraging us. You need to ascertain the steps you can take to prevent us from casting you to one side. Like a spent cartridge. These mean that you put us before you. You scurry around attending to our needs, catering for our whims, and second-guessing everything we do. As I have mentioned, as an empathic individual, you do enjoy putting others before yourself. That is something that is ingrained in your nature. Okay, man, we've got so much to talk about. Okay, so you may not enjoy it, but you may have been programmed to do this because of being surrounded by narcissists, and you may have been just selected as the one that is the key holder to everything going smoothly, and you may have been trained to just put everybody before yourself, or you may have been raised in a family where they decided, I really want to make sure with you that you're the really nice, kind one, and they might have just slightly given up on the others. Or the adults needed your help because they didn't want to be. They wanted to share some of the burden of their narcissistic engagements, their issues with egoism. So it becomes ingrained in your nature. You are able to do this in a healthy setting without harming or neglecting yourself. When you become involved with my kind, your desire to put us before yourself has a terrible consequence. We keep on taking and taking, but we do not give back. And yeah, it's the destruction of empathy, because if you are surrounded by this or you're affected by this, your association with being kind and being helpful and putting others before yourself, it's associated with being a loser, being treated badly. And the reality is that is the society that we live in. So going back to, not sharing things, vulnerabilities and stuff, I do share it here, but also in reality, when I meet people at the moment, I'm very, I've got my head down here is what I'm saying while I do this. And that's another thing about what we're going to get to is just keeping your head down and working on yourself, especially if you're one of these people that has been, that does understand that, life is about being of service to others and being nice first, and then probably you haven't learnt to stick up for yourself because society doesn't allow you and the institutions take that out of you. We're going to figure that out. I was going to say something. Yeah, keep your head down and work on yourself and just spend less time. And that is a scientifically proven fact now with Joe Dispenza's work and other people's work, is that the one concession that they say is some people never make it, as in they never make their mind work for themselves and do well, right? And then the other thing they always say that's a concession is dealing with these kind of people, their solution is you need to spend less time with them. And I think those intertwine. Those are the two big concessions that Joe Dispenza makes. And it's true. So I think the big thing is, if you take anything on board from this show, is spend the time on yourself and reject the time with other people. I'm sorry. The Hermit card of the Tarot, okay? Get involved with your life and getting yourself on track, because you have been taken for a bit of a ride for a bit too long, and you owe it to yourself to just focus on yourself. Okay, how does this neglect manifest? Initially, it will be in the form of you reducing and then extinguishing your interests and life outside of you and me. You will spend less time with your family and friends. You stop attending the amateur dramatics club that you once enjoyed. Okay, that's something where you're spending time for yourself, right? Doing the amateur dramatics club. You decide against attending the theatre or a sporting event as you once normally did. Your attendance at the gym or evening class becomes intermittent before petering out altogether. So it takes some strength and fortitude to just get in there and stick to it and do it for you. You do not mind as you tell yourself that you are changing the interest. Oh, so that is kind of like, yeah, that's me. Well, that was me, right? Once you engaged in pottery classes to fill an otherwise unoccupied Wednesday evening, you now have me to spend time with instead. It is a swap. Okay, so what he's saying is you're swapping all your time for the narcissist because you're getting sucked in, you become dependent, or you become attached. As ever, my salami slicing tactic impinges on you. First, the friendships and external interests are eradicated. Next, you cease to read the books you enjoy at home. This is more psychopathic, I think, as I always find some task or chore for you to undertake. Okay, so, narcissists are basically like psychopath light, really. I may insist that you sit and watch a particular film or television program with me, even though I know that you do not like it. Once upon a time, you might have sat and read a book instead. Okay, I increase my demands on you. Your heightened state of anxiety leads you to having a diminished appetite. That is just as well. I have been repeatedly criticizing your appearance. The bags around your eyes are testament to your exhaustion. Okay, so you're basically getting slowly eaten alive. Oh my goodness. Okay, I've just skipped through there. Okay, so don't neglect your own needs. Okay, that is the one thing that it's really important. It's really tough to do if you're involved, right? It's just super, super, super important. We've talked about this a number of times on Otherworld Connections. Forget other people, forget narcissists, forget that leaves you with you and maybe a couple other people. All right? Do not neglect your own needs. Your victimhood, your feeling of victimhood, and all those feelings are gonna drift away. They're gonna melt off as you melt the fat, as you build up your things that you want to do and get good at them. Okay, exercise is right up there. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy spirit, and so on and so forth. Okay, this book, I wanted to read something from this book because it's called The Light Side of the Moon, and the moon really shows up a lot in Otherworld Connections. I pay my respects to the moon. Since my dowsing and all this stuff, and knowing that fairies and angels have something to do with it, unseen helpers, and the moon is really tied in with all that, and very much tied in with the young children, the kids. And that's where it started for me, being a teacher, right? So I thought this was interesting. This book was called The Light Side of the Moon, Reclaiming Your Lost Potential by Ditta, Oliker. Okay, so we'll read a bit here. This is about children and how children understand their world. Survival systems are developed in childhood. Breaking free from one system as an adult requires an understanding of how children think, what they feel, and the origins of their fears. Having insight into the general principles of how children experience their world allows you to connect to how, as a child, you might have reacted to various demands in your environment. Before reading about the specifics of how children think and feel, it is valuable to imagine how a child exists in his or her world. Imagine being 3 feet tall and looking up into the angry face and pointing finger of a towering father, standing really tall and being eye to eye with the neighbor's dog, walking along a street and seeing not faces but knees and pants, feeling confused about the sudden appearance of mummy's new baby, being certain that there are monsters in the closet, getting crushed and unable to breathe in Uncle Harry's hug. Try to put yourself into the shoes of a young child as you read the experiences of the individuals in this book. Just as a child is unable to physically perform like an adult, so a child's thinking is tied to appropriate levels of intellectual development, and young children think concretely. They do not understand the subtleties of the language. They assume a literal meaning of words, describe a piece of clothing as hot, and they will be afraid to touch it. Tell a young boy to stop banging on a drum and he'll stop, but then bang on a table. Genius. Nor do children have the capacity to grasp abstract concepts. Anyone who has heard a child respond to questions like, what happens when it rains? What makes the sky blue? These are all great questions to ask kids, by the way. Really good questions to ask kids. Answers you get back get very meta, and they have like a Jungian thing on them. They have all kinds of things, but you might get a serendipity or a synchronicity. You'll get a message from these answers that pertains to something going on with the child or with yourself. So anyone who has heard a child respond to these questions knows how creative, amusing, and concrete the answers can be. Children, when experiencing something new, will understand it by matching it to a pre-existing idea or experience. And I will say, if they don't, they will pluck it out from the subconscious, from the collective consciousness. Young children think of right and wrong in terms of absolutes, of things being either always good or always bad. When judging an act, the young child does not consider the intent, only the outcome. Yeah, exactly. Good or bad, but with the judgment based on the extent of the physical damage done. When it comes to adapting to an adverse environment, concrete thinking can limit the range of adapted possibilities, and this is where the trauma comes in from abandonment, neglect, and treating other people like SHIT, including children. Children believe that their parents are all-knowing and all-powerful. This belief by the child is reinforced by parental behavior. A parent will often comment on what is, to the parent, an obvious behavior, but one not obvious to the child. For example, Tim is too busy to take time out to go to the bathroom. He stands wriggling and crossing his legs. His parents say, "Please go to the bathroom." And Tim asks in wonder, "How did you know?" Since Tim's parents know everything, including his feelings and wants, there is a potential for misunderstanding. Tim can assume that his parents' lack of responsiveness is not because they don't know, but because they don't care. This trust in the perfection of the parent reinforces the child's belief that if anything is wrong, it must be with him or her and not the parent. And again, this is why I do the work for the secret kindergarten, because man, honestly, like, I don't mean to be preaching to the choir, so I'm not saying, if you're listening, I'm not saying it's you, but it's just, you would be surprised the amount of adults that just don't get it. They really don't. They think children are retarded, stupid adults. Children are egocentric and cannot understand another's perspective, only their own. Egocentricity leads to believing that everybody must have similar emotions, thoughts, and experiences. It also translates into, "It's all about me." This belief is not about vanity or self-aggrandizement, but about how children believe, think, and question how they exist in their worlds. It is expressed in questions such as, do they like me? Do I fit in? Do I play ball well enough? Am I tall enough? Am I pretty enough? This is going to be older children. Ask a young child why the sun comes up, and the answer will be, because it is time for me to get out of bed. And we need to bring this sort of thing back to ourselves if we've been taken by the narcissistic dynamic. In keeping with that belief, they also believe they are responsible for what is happening in that world. Young children's immature concepts of cause and effect, immature really, often connect to their natural egocentrism, often leading to emotionally damaging feelings of guilt as they mistakenly blame themselves for a divorce, illness, or another catastrophe. I remember working with a couple who had decided to get a divorce and sought help in how to minimize the effect of the divorce on their 6-year-old boy. Both parents consistently reinforced basic points to their child, that they both loved him, that the divorce was between mum and dad, and that he wasn't responsible for their separating. One night, the babysitter reported that their son's friend was banging on a drum, caught in the belief that he was responsible for his parents' problems. The boy told his friend, "Don't make so much noise. My daddy left because I was making too much noise." One young boy captured the power of this belief of responsibility when he said, "I know here," pointing to his head, "I'm not to blame, but here," pointing at his heart, "I know I am." Such is the thought process of the child. Parents can unknowingly feed into this by the way they relate to their child. An example of this is how children respond to their parents' silence. For example, imagine a couple who have realized that an important investment has lost its value, causing each to be quite upset. Neither one is ready to discuss the ramifications of the loss or what steps need to be taken. So both parents remain silent. Playing quietly by herself is their 8-year-old daughter. The child can feel the negative energy in the room, observe her parents' upset faces, know something is wrong, thinking concretely and matching it to a pre-existing experience, and assume that her parents are angry, experiencing the negative vibrations in keeping with her egocentric thinking. She then assumes that she must be the cause of the problem. She begins to imagine various scenarios in which she had caused a problem that in turn caused her parents to become angry in the past, and she begins to get fussy and agitated. Her parents become aware of her agitation and, speaking in authoritative voices, caution her to go find something to do, thus reinforcing her idea of herself as being to blame for the problem. Oh my gosh, isn't it tough to be a parent? Much love and respect to all you parents out there. You are brave and powerful and strong and courageous, and I do this sort of stuff for you guys, okay? To help, hopefully. All right. Yeah, so many of the distortions that come from childhood, how children think, learn, and solve problems, are the hidden, continuing distortions of adulthood. And I'd say that really, educating kids is where I've come from. But I would say that for raising kids, it's about reducing trauma, reducing abandonment. Because how are you going to get this right? 100% right. So you got to be kind to yourself a bit on this. All you parents out there. So yeah, the story of Alice illustrates this point. Alice's parents each had their own history of a childhood caught in negative competition. Oh, did I talk about Alice? No, we will skip that. I don't know. Alice was from another chapter. Okay, this is just talking about problems, right? Okay, so this is just to illustrate the point that the distortions that come from childhood, how children think, learn, and solve problems, are the hidden, continuing distortions of adulthood. Okay. So imagine if we get that self-responsible aspect of the child put on being self-responsible. Easier said than done, because as we can see, you can't really fake things with kids. And I think that's where being more of a friend is not the correct word, because you don't want to be 100% friend to your kids, right? But just being honest about things. Because kids can help you. And I think some of this comes from seeing kids as kind of just weak, mentally challenged grown-ups. We need to see kids as super magical. All right. Well, I should have read that thing. Yeah, the Alice thing. What am I? Just one moment. Let me look. So anyway. So it starts in the early years, right? And for more information on that, you can check out thesecretkindergarten.com. You can check out the show for kids to get an idea of appropriate things for kids, so they grow up and create the free world that we want. So, I was looking at this book. Excuse me while I pour this coffee. I was looking at this book called Dead Set on Living, Making the Difficult but Beautiful Journey from Effing Up to Waking Up. And it's a sort of edgy, I don't know, it was released in 2018, written by Chris Gross and Alice Peck, and they interview kind of like, there's a word for it, I don't know, kind of guru type people. Contemporary guru type people. Anyway, look, I'm just extracting from this some of the things to do. It's about overcoming self-defeating behavior. And if you look at giving in to the narcissist and what the narcissist wants from you, the narcissist wants you to behave in a self-defeating way pretty much all the time. And that's kind of what my work had been. I'm going to say had been. Is self-defeating behavior. Overcoming that. So we're going to look at these as solutions, because overcoming self-defeating behavior requires behaviors that set you up for success. So maybe we can try and reframe that. So it's not about I think this applies to dealing with narcissists, because if you put your energy and time into these things, then you are doing well. Okay, so one is set up a small network of friends. Okay, easier said than done, but the key word here is small. So what I'm saying is go small with this. And I've also said, keep your head down and do the grind. Okay, so keep your head down and do the grind. Setting up a small network of friends, it's implying, you don't want to have a huge network of friends. Simple as that. Okay? That's not a successful way of living. Heaps of people say this stuff, okay? So the whole point is that rein it in. Rein it in. And the reason I'm saying that is it's okay to cut off, narcissistic people. And going back to the Joe Dispenza and actually living the life of the human that you're supposed to be, that involves limiting your time with people that are defeating you, encouraging the self-defeating behavior. So you want a small network of friends, if you're lucky to have a network at all. Having a community of like-minded people who have an interest in spiritual development. Now, this is why we're going to probably extend this show. Revisit this next week. I'm just going to say this again. Having a community of like-minded people who have an interest in spiritual development, okay? So hopefully you find people that do have the same interests in you and are genuine and are on the same road as you. They're not taking advantage of you looking for that inside this small community called the Truth Movement or the Alternative Media or Freedom Movement. Finding some sort of physical activity to replace negative behavior. This is a big one, okay? Get out there and get onto something. Weights, running, jogging, boxing, whatever. Rich coming from me, I'm back on that train. Jogging, boxing, which is on a bit of a hiatus because I had broken my wrist. But anyway, the point is you got to try and you got to get out there and get onto that. That is going to replace negative behavior, and self-defeating thoughts and self-defeating behaviors are negative behaviors. Taking up meditation practice, be gentle on yourself, okay? We've mentioned that a couple of times today. And the tricky one, get a sense of humor and laugh at yourself. You don't want to be prideful. There's no pride in the situation of where we are in the world now. So we got to laugh at ourselves. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Look out for those narcissists. And we'll see you at the next one. Love you guys.